What's good? Welcome to another episode of the J Academy. I'm your host for today, Jay. And today we'll be talking about diabetes mellitus. So let's get started. Alright, so right here, that's my homie. His name's Quan. Lately, he's been feeling hungry, which in the healthcare field, we call that polyphagia, because we need to differentiate ourselves from the commoners, so we use big words. Also, he's been feeling fatigued. He's been feeling thirsty, which is called polydipsia, and he's been experiencing frequent urination, which is called polyuria. So this dude got diabetes. And how do I know that? Well, I made this case up, and I'm telling you he got diabetes. Right. And so what are the pathophysiological processes behind this that makes him feel all these symptoms? Well, we about to find out. So as we know, diabetes is a disorder of the blood glucose regulation, right? And that's controlled by the pancreas, which is just right below your chest. Now, let's say you're a normal person and you go to their back burger and you order their animal burger and you shove it down your mouth and it goes in your stomach and it goes down your gastrointestinal tract and then it gets absorbed, right? And then all the sugars from that burger, they get absorbed into your bloodstream. Now your blood sugar goes up, right? And so eat your meal, your blood sugar goes up, right? So then your pancreatic beta cells, what they're going to do is release a hormone called insulin. Now, insulin has three functions that we're going to get into today. And so the first one is that fatty acid use goes down, right? So now you have sugar. Your cells like to use sugar as their fuel source and not fats. So then insulin tells the cell not to use its fats, right? And so now number two is glycogen synthase. So what insulin does is it increases the activity of an enzyme called glycogen synthase. And glycogen synthase, what it does is it synthesizes glycogen. Now, glycogen is just a bunch of glucoses branched together. So the insulin tells the liver right over here, right? It's like, bro, make glycogen. So then the liver takes all these individual blood glucoses and strings them into a chain. And this is called glycogen, and it can be used as a fuel source later for the body. Right, and then number three is that the insulin tells the cells to uptake the glucose because it's a fuel source, right? Your cells want it anyway, so it's like, bruh, take it up, right? Take it up. So all these three things, right? So number one, your fatty acid use goes down. Your cells don't want to use fat. And now glycogen, and now the liver is making glycogen from the glucoses, so then your blood glucose goes down. And also, the insulin tells the cells to uptake the sugar, so then your blood glucose goes down. Right, so let's say your blood glucose is too low now. You haven't been eating, you don't really have too much glucose in your blood, now your blood sugar is low. Well, then what happens? Well, the pancreatic alpha cells, they release another hormone called glucagon. And what glucagon does is it tells the liver to break down the glycogen that you just made into glucose. And so right here, the glucagon's like, bruh, like break down those glycogen so we can have more glucose in the bloodstream, right? And so then the glycogen, it gets broken down from its chain into, its little individual glucoses, and it goes in the bloodstream. So that increases your blood sugar. Right, so what goes wrong in diabetes? Well, we about to find out. So there's actually two types of diabetes. We're going to go over type 1 first. So in type 1, there's no insulin. And why is there no insulin? Well, it's an autoimmune disorder. And so what that means is that the body's own immune cells attack the pancreatic beta cells that make the insulin. So since they're getting attacked, well, then you don't have any insulin. So that's why there's no insulin, because they can't make them if they're not there, right? And so this is genetic. So it's not really fully understood why this happens, but it's understood that it's genetic. And also, remember how insulin tells the cells not to use fatty acids, right? Well, now that it's not there, the cell wants to use its fats because there's also no glucose because it didn't uptake it. And so there's no glucose and wants to switch to fats. The cells are now using fats. And as a byproduct of using fats, the cells make something called ketones, and these are acidic. So as you can imagine, if it keeps on making something that's acidic, your blood your blood will become more acidic, and then that can cause something known as ketoacidosis. So if you have that, then you could die if it's not treated. Now, the second type is called type 2 diabetes. So in type 2 diabetes, the cells don't respond to insulin, right? So usually the insulin tells the cells to uptake the glucose. Well, now insulin's telling it to, but the cells are like, nah, bro, we aren't gonna take it up. So why does this happen? Why do we develop insulin resistance? We'll say you've been eating a lot of refined carbs lately, right? So you've been spiking your blood sugar levels, right? Then the insulin gets released, and more and more insulin gets released, and now your cells are just like, bro, we're getting tired of this. We're not going to respond to insulin anymore. That's basically what happens. So it's genetic and environmental. So it's environmental based on your diet, and the genetic part is just some people are more predisposed to get it. And now, because the cells don't respond to the insulin, right? So at first your body tells the beta cells to actually make more insulin, right? Because the cells aren't responding to it. They're like, bro, send the message over and over again. Tell them to uptake the glucose. So it sends the messenger more and more, which is insulin, right? But then the beta cells actually get exhausted from making all that, insulin. So then they're just like, oh, bro, I don't want to make insulin anymore. So then the beta cells, they don't make it anymore. So then later on in type 2 diabetes, people will actually need exogenous insulin. That means they actually need to get that injected because their own cells don't make enough anymore. Right. So in both type 1 and type 2, there are common symptoms, and that's hunger, fatigue, frequent urination, being thirsty, and of course high blood sugar. And so why is that? Why is my homie Quan, why do they have these symptoms? Now, well, the hunger is because your cells can't uptake the glucose, so then they need fuel. They're literally being starved because they can't take up the fuel, right? And that's why they also have fatigue, because they don't have a good fuel source. The frequent urination is because you have high blood sugar, right? So then the body actually tries to put that into the urine where it's excreted out. So people with diabetes will actually have high glucose levels in the urine. So if if you're not too right in the brain and you like to taste people's pee, then it'll taste quite sugary and sweet. And why are you thirsty? Well, you've been urinating frequently, right? So then you're gonna need more water. That's why you're thirsty. So that's why my homie Quan has been experiencing all these symptoms. Now, if my homie Quan don't get his diet in check, or if he doesn't go to the doctor, all right, these are the long-term effects of having diabetes. And so high blood glucose is called hyperglycemia, and hyperglycemia has a lot of effects. And so the main one is that it damages vessels, right? It causes inflammation and it damages the blood vessels. Right, so damaged blood vessels can cause a lot of problems. So say you got blood vessel damage, that can lead to atherosclerosis, which is the buildup of a fatty plaque in the arteries. So you can actually get blocked arteries from that. Now, if you have blood vessel damage, you'll also have kidney problems. Why? Because the kidneys, they filter the blood, right? So if the blood vessels that supply the kidney are damaged, then it can't filter its blood, and then you have kidney problems. And also, because the blood vessels are damaged, you also have gastrointestinal problems. And also, in the little blood vessels of your eyes, if those get damaged, then you have vision problems. That's not good either. And the hyperglycemia can also damage the nerves and cause neuropathy. And they can feel pain because they have damaged nerves, and that's not good, right? So those are all the long-term effects of diabetes, and that's not good. That's why you should keep your diet in check. Or if you have type 1, you should definitely keep your blood glucose levels in check. Well, you should really do that if you have both, but it's all right. So that's that for the overview of diabetes. If you have any more questions or concerns, please just read the rest of the study guide. All right, it's your boy Jay, signing out.